So let's talk about the author first. Nigamunda Ngozi Adichie is a writer from Nigeria. She usually writes about normal people and their everyday struggles, not big heroes or dramatic stories. Many of her stories are talking about migration, race, identity, and power. She shows how people from different countries experience the world differently because of money, skin color, and background, and many other reasons, maybe. What I like about her writing is that she talks about small things, conversation, behavior, and silence. It shows how these small things affect people deeply. So it feels real and easy to connect with. That is why her stories are often used to understand post colonial ideas in a very simple way. Okay, so let's talk about who the protagonist is. The story is about a young Nigerian girl named Akuna. She wins a lottery visa and travels to America, imagining a life full of opportunity, stability, and upward mobility. Her family believes in her life will suddenly become prosperous and secure while moving to America. They are oblivious to the emotional and practical struggles she might have to face there. However, when Akuna actually reaches America, she experiences a deep sense of disillusionment as reality turns out to be far more complicated than her expectations. So she stays with her uncle, whose behavior becomes very disturbing, inappropriate, and emotionally unstable. What should have been a safe space to protect her slowly becomes a site of fear and psychological vulnerability for her. Feeling trapped and powerless, she finally escapes and begins working in a small restaurant with a very little pay. So the labor is very exhausting and monotonous, yet it gives her a fragile sense of independence and dignity. She sends money back home but carefully conceals the truth of her struggles. There's a growing gap between what the family imagines and what she actually endures. Over time, loneliness and invisibility creates a feeling of alienation and emotional exhaustion. She feels disconnected, overlooked, and internally conflicted. Later, she meets a white American boy, and they start spending a lot of time together. At times, he appears kind and curious, and he remains lately oblivious to her cultural background, trauma, and her emotional depths. So, their relationship reflects subtle misunderstanding, quiet power imbalance, unspoken privilege. Even when there is affection, there is some emotional distance. So, when her father dies later in the story, the loss becomes very emotionally devastating for her. It triggered deep reflections and focuses her to confront her fractured identity that she has formed whilst living in America, away from her country, Nigeria, and her culture. She realizes that she is no longer fully belonging to either of the places, and carrying grief, maturity, and painful self awareness, she decides to return back to Nigeria alone. The story mainly focuses on her internal transformation, how her thoughts, emotions, and sense of self gradually evolve, rather than the only external events of her life. It highlights the invisible emotional burden of migration, displacement, and silent endurance that she has to face. So, the narrator captures how identity reshapes quietly under pressure, often in ways people around us remain completely oblivious to. As a college student from Delhi, I myself notice adjusting all the time. So basically, the way I speak, the confidence I feel, the way I carry myself, my personality, the way I dress, it depends all in the space I am in. Sometimes it feels necessary, like survival. So sometimes I feel it's like a part of me. It's like quietly disappears but is always there. That is why I deeply connect with the protagonist here. Her story is a little extreme, of course, but the feeling, the pressure to fit in always stays. To survive in a new world, it's sometimes I recognize in my own life, and it's small, invisible, and personal, but it's something very exhausting. So, yeah. Coming to the American dream shift, at first, America seemed like hope, like opportunity, comfort. Her family imagines wealth, money, luxury, success once the protagonist moves to America. But once she is inside the real system, the dream completely changes. Instead of freedom, she finds control. Instead of happiness, she is more focused on survival. So the American dream does not collapse with a loud crash, but it slowly becomes restrictive, heavy. It becomes something that constrains her, and instead of uplifting her, it is almost like stranded around her neck. That is why the title is there, a thing around your neck. It basically makes her feel emotionally and physically draining, and it constrains her. She's not living her American dream, she is just surviving her American dream. Okay, so when we think of opportunity, what comes to our mind? Something good, right? Life becomes better, more freedom, more confidence, and better future, maybe. But opportunities sometimes can also bring pressure. For example, a person from a village has been offered a new job in the city and he decides to take it up. That person will come with his family here, try to adjust, try to bring in changes within the family, within the norms, within the way they behave, way they talk, way they dress, maybe also. And this is all being done just to fit in, right? Slowly, you realize you're not being yourself anymore. That's exactly what's happening in this story. So, it shows how moving to another country can slowly change a person from inside. Not suddenly, but not in one big incident, but like everyday situations, the person changes. I chose this story because I feel many young people will relate to this feeling like I do, with adjusting, changing, and sometimes feeling lost in the process. So Akuna did not just wake up one day and decides to be someone else, right? No, that did not happen. So here the main focus is like hybridity and mimicry, because these ideas show how our identity can change, how we quietly move into different worlds with different rules. These changes are not obvious or dramatic, but they happen slowly. They happen mostly invisibly through small actions, speaking, acting, and what we say or keep to ourselves. Akuna learns bit by bit, slowly and steadily. She accepts what she must say, what she must hide, how much she present herself, carry herself, show herself. Her identity reshapes itself, not because she wants it to, but because survival demands it. So, living in a completely different culture demands a lot, and you need to change your personality a lot. And to adapt to this, the changes come slow and steady to the person, and it is not always consciously, but it is changes who we are inside. Hybridity basically means you are existing in between two worlds rather than fully belonging to one. So Akuna adapts to American behavior, speech patterns, and social expectations. She learns to speak less, react less, observe more. Externally, she starts to look exhausting and like she wants to fit in. But inside, she completely remains Nigerian. Her memories, her sense of familial responsibilities, her instinct, even her guilt, they all stay connected to home. This creates an internal split. She belongs partly everywhere, but fully nowhere. So she has like even this hybrid space in her romantic relationship which she forms in the story, which is very warm and intimate and everything. But there is also like distance and misunderstanding, because the guy hybridity is very different for that person, while it is very different for Akuna. She has responsibilities and everything. Hybridity is not freedom, it is not a celebration. So it is very complex and emotionally confusing and very frustrating sometimes, and it's like you're completely being pulled in a different direction when you yourself are completely someone else. Talking about what mimicry happens when someone tries to copy the dominant culture to reduce the risk or conflict. Basically, whenever there's someone adapting to some other culture, they try to do it in their way so that there are less conflicts and they're able to adapt easily. That's what mimicry is. So, the protagonist, Akuna, learns when to speak, when to stay silent, how to speak, and how to soften her reactions, maybe, to fit in, and she manages her emotions carefully and performs a version of herself that seems acceptable. It protects her socially and professionally, but it silences a part of herself. It silences her real voice. Every time she suppresses herself from doing something, speaking something, a part of her authenticity fades away, and she feels like she's losing her own cultural values, her own norms, and that is what makes it so heavily emotional that you do not realize all of this until you pause and reflect that you're losing a self in somewhere when you're like adapting to another culture. One small but powerful moment is the blank fortune cookie moment, where in the short story, the protagonist opens a fortune cookie and it is completely blank. So she does not get a fortune slip inside her cookie. And at first, she was feeling very unsettled, and there were no instructions or no predictions to like what to do now. But she does not panic. She realizes something very important, that her future isn't written. It's unpredictable, it's open, and it's full of possibilities. So, even while she's being mimicked by others, suppressing herself, adapting to survive, this moment gives her a subtle kind of freedom. She decides she gets to write her own story. So, no one else can tell me what my life should look like. This is quite so hybridity does not happen the same way for everyone. When there's hybridity, the power quietly shapes who must enjoy the culture and who must endure it. The boy in the story experiences culture as an adventure, curiosity, self discovery. He can travel, he can explore, he can do whatever he wants to. For him, culture is a choice. It's like a personal fun for the guy. But whilst on the other side, Akuna. Akuna migrates because she has to survive. She has responsibilities, she has financial pressure and vulnerability. So, every step she takes has consequences. A small mistake could be very dangerous for Akuna. It can be even socially or it can be financially, in both of the perspectives. This imbalance shows how the relationship unfolds. The one side of it is surviving, and the other side of it explores. So the hybridity space between them isn't very equal, and her identity develops under pressure, shaped by unequal power rather than shared understanding. So there's a thing in otherness. Akuna will always be a foreigner. No matter how much she adapts, how what she does, how she dresses, however she tries to adapt to the culture, she will still be seen as a foreign person. Her difference doesn't disappear. She can fit in socially, but emotionally and culturally, she can never be fully accepted. It's a feeling of being visible, but also being invisible, like being on the outside, always not able to fit in the main league of the culture. The title, The Thing Around Your Neck, is not literal, but it represents an invisible weight Akuna is carrying every day, with anxiety, fear, guilt, silence, loneliness, and the more she adapts, the tighter the pressure feels. Migration hasn't like expanded her emotional freedom, it has just compressed it even more. Her emotional space has narrowed, her voice is getting very smaller, and many of us can relate in small ways, but the weight of carrying invisible burden in a world that expects you to fit in. Hybridity makes belonging really confusing. You start living between two worlds, and but you somehow never fully is at home at either one. Mimicry makes you quieter. You change how you behave, how you react, and you choose to stay silent just so you can fit in and avoid trouble. While you almost forgot what your real voice was really sounded like. Otherness never completely goes away. No matter how much you adjust or try to blend in, people still see you as different in small but constant ways. Power does not always shout or hurt you openly. Sometimes it works quietly through experience, stereotypes, money, and privilege, shaping your choices without you even realizing it. This story shows that migration does not change where you live. It changes how you think, how you feel, and how you slowly start seeing yourself. This is why the thing around your neck feels so real and personal to me. It talks about an invisible emotional weight that we all, as young people and migrants, carry silently without always knowing how to explain it. Thank you so much.